the Big Dipper roller coaster crash. Did you know that the deadliest roller coaster disaster of all time happened in London back in 1972? The Big Dipper roller coaster at Battersea Funfair in London was involved in a tragic accident, killing and injuring more than a dozen people. Join us as we uncover the reasons behind the tragic roller coaster disaster that still remains the deadliest in history. It was the 30th of May in 1972, a day that would forever be engraved in history. The Battersea Funfair in London was bustling with children and teenagers eagerly awaiting their turn on the Big Dipper roller coaster. Little did they know that this would turn into a heart-stopping nightmare. The Big Dipper, the jewel of the funfair, was a side friction roller coaster that had dominated the park's skyline for almost half a century. It was a thrilling ride, with steep drops and a section through a dark tunnel that sent chills down your spine. But over the years, the ride had seen repairs, redesigns, and alleged mismanagement, creating a ticking time bomb. As the train loaded with 30 passengers, mostly children, and a brakeman to manually slow it down, started its ascent, the excitement was intense. The creaking noise of the transport rope echoed through the air as the train inched its way up the hill. But suddenly, without warning, the rope snapped, and chaos followed. The train began racing backwards down the track, picking up speed with each passing second. Screams filled the air as the passengers realized they were going the wrong way. The once mesmerizing ride had turned into a nightmare. Questions raced through their minds. What was happening? The passengers were helpless as the train derailed and smashed into the signpost below. It was a horrific sight, and the funfair that was once a place of joy had turned into a scene of tragedy. But what led to this disaster? Was it the aging infrastructure or mismanagement? Shockingly, people first thought it was a joke. Within seconds, the laughter turned into screams as the first car of the train derailed, jumping off the rails and plummeting 15 feet. The other two cars followed, crashing into a stationary train and causing wooden screens to collapse. The scene was pure chaos. Some passengers were flung out, left hanging upside down, or laying on the floor in front of the horrified crowds. One young girl, only 15 years old, tried to steady herself on the wooden walkway and handrail, but tragically, it gave way beneath her feet and she fell to her death. In the back cars, several other children were being crushed. The nightmare, the accident claimed the lives of 5 passengers and injuring 13 others. Emergency workers rushed to the scene as onlookers tried to help those trapped under debris and attend to the injured. Shockingly, even as the rescuers worked tirelessly, the fun-filled atmosphere of the amusement park returned to normal. In the aftermath, the question on everyone's mind was, who was responsible for this horrifying turn of events? But despite monthly inspections carried out by qualified engineers, nobody seemed to have any answers. Accusations flew, and calls for a full-scale public inquiry grew louder by the day. The owners of the Big Dipper conducted their own investigations, but it wasn't until the end of 1972 that a public investigation was finally carried out, and the Director of Public Prosecutions received the findings. By February of 1973, a trial was underway, but the question of who was to blame for the tragedy still lingered in the air, shrouded in mystery and suspense. Shocking findings from the trial revealed a total of 66 defects, with 18 of them in the support structure. The safety devices, known as dogs, were missing or defective, with only one working arrestor in place. The ride had a history of issues, including a devastating fire and replacement parts that were over 50 years old. Testimonies revealed untrained teenage employees who were drinking and using drugs on the job. But here's the bone-chilling truth. Fairgrounds were barely regulated at the time. The ride was certified structurally and operationally sound by the engineer, but the judge argued that it only applied when the train was stationary, and the manager was found not guilty because he used to be a fittest mate. The Big Dipper was dismantled, but the park remained open. Can you imagine the decline in popularity? It eventually closed in 1974. It's surprising that it took almost 2 years for fairgrounds to be brought under health and safety law after the disaster. Looking back, the Battersea Funfair was more than just a regular amusement park. It was one of the very first theme parks, a place where visitors could escape to fantastical worlds and create memories. But on that spring afternoon, the thrill turned into terror, and the lives of those involved were changed forever. What do you think could have stopped this colossal accident from taking place? Let us know in the comments.